doing well, and he is not in the office. We are in a rather interesting market right now. I want to point out several important things in today's webinar. Now, first, I'm going to start with the Euro-Yen because this is one of the more exciting instruments right now. The Euro-Yen rejected overnight from a level that we posted in the evening briefing. This was a bullish shark aligned with the 61.8 line of this halfway back long. Now we broke shorts on the Euro-Yen, and we have the potential for an ambush long. This is a very valid trade setup. It is potentially the most valid you can get in terms of being completely technical. The one thing that we should be worried about is the fact that there is the potential for there is potential for a range trade in the Euro-Yen, simply because I can make a case that we have been breaking longs and shorts. Now more remains to be seen. I remain bullish on the euro and the dollar-yen, and I want the market to prove me wrong on these accounts. For now, you know, I don't think it has. If it does, okay. If it doesn't, even better for me, because I want to play the long side. Now, what I wanted to point out is this was a perfect bullish shark. It was identified in yesterday's evening briefing. You can find it. Now, this was rather amazing to me because we held to the pip the 88.6 line of the shark, and we held to the pip the 61.8 line. This was literally entry which you could take with maybe 2 pips, well, not 2 pips, but you know, like 6 pips stop loss, and you know, the result, at least until recently, until ECB came out and said they were worried about euro strength, was 180 pips, which in my opinion is extremely impressive for trade which you had to take with extremely small stop loss. I think this is important to notice. Now we will see how we react from this halfway back short, halfway back long. This is an ambush setup. Now what we anticipate is that this ambush will at least make us free. I don't know if it's going to work and if it is going to get us to targets. However, what we anticipate is that it will make us free. Now, what I want to point out is that we are still within this descending, potentially triangle. I'm not sure 100% at this point, but we have a descending trend line which has yet to be broken. So we will need more information on that account. Any questions on this, on the Euro-Yen? Perhaps it is important to say that we had a series of extensions. Now we had this extension go to target, so you draw immediately the next one. Now this started from this series of extensions, so we had a series. After breaking the series, we anticipate a full halfway back long now to trade, which is the ambush setup. And this ambush setup, in my opinion at least, is a very valid long entry. Any questions on the Euro-Yen, guys? Any questions on the Euro-Yen? Okay, I'm guessing nobody else. Now again, we are holding a larger long in the Euro-Yen. We're holding also an ambush long of this rally. I would like to point out the same, by the way, goes for the dollar-yen. We are potentially doing a fractal repetition of last week. Last week we started with the downside, which turned out to be the main trend move. Then we made a marginal new high, and into the end of the week we plunged sharply. Now this week we started with an uptrend, which in my opinion will be the main trend for the week. Then this looked like it was going to fluke, and we had a downtrend, and now we are continuing to go higher. So I am thinking there is the potential for us to be repeating just from the opposite side, what happened last week. You can notice that this is the same timing. Today, I believe, is a Wednesday, yes, and on Wednesday last week was the day. I believe was it Wednesday? I believe Wednesday, or yeah, we started going down on the 6th, which was Wednesday, and this was the primarily counter trend, the primary trend move. So I believe that this is important piece of information on the Euro-yen. I like at least this ambush long the odds of getting free. Now I'm going to move to the pound dollar now, because I think that it is potentially going to be the next major mover. Unfortunately, we did not get filled on our short entries, which is a real pity, a real freaking pity. Uh, man, what can I say? This is just silly. I cannot believe we missed this entry. Anyways, okay. Um, I feel like crying right now for missing this entry on the pound dollar. It got front trend a bit aggressively. It got front trend by 6 pips pretty much instead of by 4 pips, which is pretty much why we didn't get a fill. Which is pretty much why I didn't get a fill. Uh, the reason why I'm especially in love with this setup is now if you move to the daily time frame, and this is actually the reason why I think that this is valid. If you move to the daily time frame, you will notice that we broke a multi-year trend line of this triangle. This triangle looks like a wave 4 of a 5-wave decline. This was wave 1 over here, wave 2, wave 3, and a complex wave 4 in a triangle. So we could potentially now be starting uh, um, a downtrend, a resumption of the downtrend, which would target at least prior lows, which are 2,000 pips below us, you know. So from this perspective, I think this is very major. We have broken this trend line. We have a lot of potential to go to the downside. So I really want to hop into shorts as soon as possible. Of course, if this is a cigarette, so it's not a cigarette. Uh, so I think we are going to get a very nice entry eventually. Another thing is this trend line. When you scale to the 55 or 50 minute chart or whatever you want to use, this is the trend that we broke, and you can see that we had a Kim setup in the morning, pretty much, of this short entry. It was a great short entry. Everybody who took it, my round of applause to you guys. You're up 450 pips now. Well done. Seriously, there's nothing else I can say other than well done. Simply nothing bullish on the pound. Nil, niche, nothing. Absolutely nothing bullish on pound. Extremely bearish. I hope that we are going to be able to hop onto the short side one way or another. Now, this extension still could potentially retrade in some small awkward three-wave correction. So I'm not going to like get pissed just yet. Now, even if it doesn't retrade, I am going to be looking for opportunities to get short on the pound dollar, the pound dollar. On the euro pound, extremely bullish, at least until recently. I have to check what happened after this ECB announcement spike to the downside. Yep, continues to be extremely bullish. We held very awkward halfway back over here on micro measure time frame. We are blowing through targets, which means that we are now within extensions, and we are pretty much trying to trade a 50. The situation actually here is very similar to what happened in the pound. We are seeing a 6 pip front run instead of a 4 pip front run of the 50% buy level. So this is what I have to say. Other than that, we have broken countermeasure move shorts today. So only thing I can say is we are looking much higher. Uh, we also held a daily extension long. It was the next daily setup. The extension was drawn from the next daily. So let me just zoom out a bit. This was the daily extension, I believe. Let me just check, or was it the other one? Nope, it is the smaller because the smaller one was the one that yep. This one traded a halfway back. I don't know if you guys can see. Let me just quickly show you. We traded a halfway back over here. This made this a valid anchor for the extension, and this is what we held. This is what we held on the pound, on the euro pound. The targets are above us at the 0.8885 mark. 0.885. So we still have quite a bit of side. We're looking some 200 pips higher from here. Yes, that is true. That is mostly because correlations are breaking down, I think. Mostly because the correlations are breaking down, and we're seeing that everything does its own thing pretty much. Cover, I also is pretty much thorough enough, you know, like on the daily time frame we have 200 pips higher. On the micro time frame we held today a micro measure move long from here, and we are now within extensions drawn from the previous traditional high. That's about it. So looking higher in the euro pound. On the dollar yen, we are holding alternate bat, which means that it's just a very sharp bat which has a B-point retracement of exactly or a bit under 38.2 mark, is in this case. Awkwardly, we are within a halfway back short from the top, which is getting participation, but we are getting participation from the longs. You have to keep in mind that the dollar yen is still within a larger long. The dollar yen is still within a larger long, so you have to keep in mind of this. I would call this a battle over the trend, and one thing I want to point out, if we do break to the upside, we're going to have an amazing inverted head and shoulders. If I see a break above, and even if I'm not in this trade, I'm going to do a market buy on a break above the head and shoulders. No, man, drugs are better for you. No joints. We don't support drugs in this webinar.
We don't support drugs?
So, of course, we cannot legally endorse drugs, you know. If we move to Colorado, no problem, do all the way you want. But right now, you know, in Bulgaria, weed is illegal. We cannot support it, you know. We have to keep in mind legislation. On the euro yen, guys, let's see if this ambush actually finally trades. I will be honest, I'm a bit afraid that it is going to whipsaw me if this bullshit goes down. But you know, it can happen. See you, Marcin. Anyways, next is the euro dollar. The euro dollar extremely bullish in my opinion. Now, one thing I want to point out: we still have to trade the halfway back short. So I think that we have some pips higher in the worst case scenario even. I think this comment by ECB is easily going to get faded, especially when you know that Draghi endorses Draghi is against targeting exchange rates. What I want to point out is we held a micro measure move long on the euro dollar to target. We failed the extensions, which means that we now have the next daily setup, which, by the way, for cover, I think he's going to like this, is going to align with the broken trend line from highs. So I am thinking that even if things get a bit crappy, you know, on the euro dollar, we should at least, you know, see a test of this. We should at least see one more spike higher. at the very least, of course. Now, so I'm thinking that this is the worst case scenario. This is the worst case scenario before going lower. Keep in mind this is going to align also with the halfway back short, the target of this long. Now, we are holding within this setup right now on the euro dollar. We are holding this measure move long. However, I don't think this is going to hold. It is the next in the series because we held several traditionals. Okay, we had a traditional here to target. So it would make sense if we hold this one. I'm not going to lie. Personally, I don't like it very much. So I am going to wait for a full halfway back long. I had a long which I booked for 70 pips, and I'm waiting to re-enter. I know there was a Kim setup cover, but like when it comes to flags, speaking in just purely normal technical terms, you know, in your traditional technical terms, you would expect first the flag to break at least 10% of its profit target to the upside, which is pretty much how much we broke, 10% of the profit target of this flag, and then you would expect a retest. So I'm just saying, you know. Yeah, in the micros we did have a test of in the micro time frames we did have a test of this Kim setup. Now I am a bit cautious about placing this as a limit order buy, simply because we already have a limit order on the euro yen. Now I would like to keep the euro exposure relatively minimum. Now again, as I said, there is relatively decent potential for us to get whipsawed on the euro yen. This could be an awkwardly ranging market. So I would prefer to be cautious, let's put it like that. Yes, that's the problem with trend lines. Everybody draws them differently, you know. There are no set rules on how to draw trend lines, you know. Let's see if the euro yen is going to grind into our entry. It's not. It's certainly not trying very hard. This will have to remain to be seen yet. On the Aussie, on the Euro Aussie, now I want to point out something peculiar. Now this pattern could still very well be valid, and the neckline and so on, but this is starting to look like a bullish Elliott wave triangle that got completed, guys. This is starting to look like a bullish Elliott wave triangle. So, and not to mention that we are trading a micro measure move long within this range. So I just have to point this out. We have a very clear wave count, which is actually rather rare when it comes to triangles and shit like that. Very clear wave count, very clear. Just trade it perfectly, guys. So this looks like a bullish Elliott wave triangle. So I would expect this to get us higher one way or another. What I want to point out is this is a micro measure long over here on the Euro Aussie. Not getting much participation so far. Now, because this is a triangle, this is a range. You know what I say about ranges? There's only one safe entry, which is at the bottom of the range. What I would do is rather than buy this micro, I would wait for a break above this triangle, and then look to buy a retest of the triangle upon it breaking, you know. So for now, I am going to be a bit more cautious. There's really no point to rush over here. That is at least in my opinion. It's not like we are going to miss anything, who knows what. To the upside, we have huge targets if we are able to grind higher. The euro dollar is respecting its next micro measure move long. This one, I believe. Yep, this one. This is the next in the series. So Yep, huge participation, guys. Huge participation. Actually makes me want to go long the euro yen on market price. Hmm. The longs did get free, I think, by now. Yep, longs did get free, pretty much. Uh, not, not, not completely free, to be honest. Now let me just go back to the euro yen. Is it still holding this dirty extension? It is holding by a thread this dirty extension, or it is holding this halfway back with the front trend. I'm not sure what it is. Uh, well, this is a bit dirty, guys. So this is a bit dirty. I have to be honest. I'm really tempted. I'm really tempted to buy this on the market. I'm really tempted to go long this on the market. Uh, Because what I see is that the OEM is getting relatively decent participation from its strong level. The thing is that this extension is a bit dirty, so I really don't want to jump in just yet. I would rather, you know, go for the safe entry, which is the ambush long. It is actually a bit interesting that this extension has not yet made longs free. It is seeing participation, but it's not making longs free. So I don't know. I really do prefer the ambush long, guys. I really do prefer the ambush longs. Now I just want to go quickly back to the pound, to the pound dollar, because it is getting a bit. I'm thinking a small awkward three-wave correction, which is going to fill our extension shorts, hopefully. I really think that this could be an amazing trade. Like I think that the pound could potentially be an elevator to the downside for all of the reasons that I mentioned earlier. Interesting to notice, guys, the dollar yen is holding a micro wonk from its 50% retracement. Very interesting indeed. Also, I'm not particularly sure what to make of this just yet. Uh, Man, a bit tough. I will be honest, guys. A bit tough, especially in the angles. If you don't get the perfect entry, it is becoming extremely difficult to hop onto an extension. Uh, Goal is going up slightly, nothing major. I wouldn't get overexcited. I want to quickly just check the Aussie dollar in the meantime, guys. In yesterday's evening briefing, I said that the Aussie dollar is, in my opinion, quite bearish. I don't see any level from which it could be going down from. What I think, however, is that we could potentially, because we had a key daily reversal yesterday, I'm thinking we could potentially be now going for all the way halfway back short, all the way halfway back short. So, if this is the case, we will certainly be looking to get short. One thing that you guys should be looking at is this inverted head and shoulders, which is either about to get completed or is near completion, So guys, remain vigilant on this part. Remain vigilant on this. It is a key daily reversal, mate. The range of this candle is bigger than the last 3 days candle, so pretty nasty outside day, I think. Inside day. Oh, fair enough. So what I'm gonna say on the dollar is it is immediately bullish, but in the intermediate term, I show in the long term it's bullish, in the short term it's bullish, in the intermediate term it is bearish. I would, with all honesty, be extremely surprised if we hold if we go higher, much higher, and we break the shorts from this little awkward level, because this is not a wonk, this is not a valued wonk on the Aussie dollar. I'm just thinking upon breaking halfway back longs, we are going to go into halfway back shorts, which would make perfect sense to me. It really would make perfect sense. I'm going to remain vigilant for potential Gartley patterns. At this point, I have to be honest, I'm not seeing anything of particular interest for me, at least for me, in the Aussie dollar. There was a bullish bat over here. I don't know if you guys can see it. This small thing is a bullish bat. It is getting participation as well. But other than that, not much to do for me here. Not much to do. Certainly not a limit buy. Actually, this is a bullish Gartley. I apologize, not a bullish bat. This is 100% bullish Gartley, which has already reached its minimum motifs. Now the euro yen, I think is about to feel the ambush long. So let us just move to this for a second. Man, I have to say I would be extremely annoyed if this doesn't make us free. I would be extremely annoyed if this doesn't make us free, for the sheer reason that I would be at a huge mega break even for the euro yen, and I think right now the signal feed the signal feed was up 70 pips on a net basis in the morning. That is adjusted for average cost size on units. So now it is minus 12 because we got stopped out on a full leverage. So that is like what, 58 pips in the plus. So if we get stopped out now for minus 22 pips, I am going to be really pissed. I am going to be really pissed. Okay, let's see. It has 7 pips to fill its ambush long. 7 pips to fill its ambush long, guys. The pound again didn't fill us on the short side, annoying. I just want to check the euro dollar again. I would say it was a wise decision on my part not to take that level. This is probably going to go into this long setup that aligns with the Kim. This is actually, in my opinion, a limit buy. I'm going to wait a little bit to actually validate that. Come on, little euro. This looks a bit scary, although I have to admit I am a bit scared that I am gonna get run over. But the system is a system and a take is a take, so I have to take it. I have to take it. Because we are within a daily long, we are within another long, which is from the daily long, and we have broken short, so this is an ambush long, Dr. Zets. So this is a must take. If you think of it like you're one computer, if you don't take this setup, there are probably not many setups you're ever going to take. We are about to get filled. Interesting to see, the pound is not giving in. We are about to get filled. So the comments made by the ECB are waiting a bit. Now I want to check something because there is the potential for the euro dollar to actually hold a rather awkward extension from the other day. We are gonna go into that extension in a second. Okay, euro yen, come on. Euro yen, a couple of pips. We are missing a couple of pips to get filled. Oh shit, zigzag. Yeah, I think it is potential. There is a very good potential for a double zigzag. Yeah, on the euro dollar, right? Or on the euro yen. Yeah, on the euro dollar. I agree. I agree, Doctor. That's a fairly good potential, but like the way I look at it is that we potentially need to go a bit higher. And you know, these comments by ECB, I doubt they will be able to gain much traction simply because you know you had Draghi yesterday, who was you know like giving important press conference. We have Weidmann, who was also the other day saying that exchange rate doesn't matter. We have German econ minister, and like everybody saying that they don't mind a strong euro except for France, pretty much. Now, I'm guessing. This is purely a guess, of course. This ECB might be slightly divided right now onto that policy to adopt. We could be seeing potentially some verbal interventions to take place, but I really don't think that such weak comments are going to weigh too much on the euro. Because what we're seeing in terms of the euro dollar, the market is not the type of person who actually listens to comments like that. You tell them something is overvalued, they are probably going to continue buying it. Think of the yen, think of the franc. We have been hearing for the past 10 years that the yen is overvalued. We have been hearing for the past 10 years the franc is overvalued, and this didn't do shit, you know. Oh, it was short-term spikes that that continue to get faded, and there is actually a very good reason about this. Now, the way I think about it is, you know, you cannot put the fundamental reasons behind somebody to buy a specific currency and to not expect him to actually do it. Because, for example, right now you are seeing an outflow of capital. You're seeing an outflow of capital, inflow of capital in Europe, and that is also coming with. That is also coming. That is probably that is also coming from you know like better than expected economic news in Europe, because the news in Europe are certainly becoming better than expected. You are seeing Italy grind out of a recession, mild improvements in exports in Spain. So if we have to be, you know, like completely fundamental and so on, like you just cannot expect that comments, small verbal interventions like this are going to make much of a difference for the market participant, because the investor who has a 5 to 10 year time span, he doesn't care about these daily comments. He cares about what is going to be in a year or 2 years from now. And you know, these daily comments don't make much of a difference, you know. All the news, you know, in Europe have been, well, not all the news, but a good portion of the news from Europe have been becoming better than expected. There is also something like a knee-jerk reaction that is occurring from the stronger euro. This reaction is specifically the fact that due to the stronger euro, a lot of businesses are now inclined to work with Europe again. I know this for a fact that a lot of people were, you know, like starting to leave Europe, not leave Europe, but reduce the size of business they were doing in Europe because of the fear of Europe blowing up and stuff like that. And you know, like with the euro a bit higher, you know, with the euro a bit higher, this is improving confidence. Now, this is actually a bit of a paradoxical situation. Again, we are not fundamental traders, but you know, I consider myself to have an idea or two when it comes to macroeconomic stuff. Now, you can see that Germany is actually Germany is actually benefiting quite a bit from the stronger euro, simply because even if the euro is stronger, if there are stronger, there is more confidence in the euro, and thank you. And in this case, in German production, because of the stronger euro and in German economy, more people are going to be buying German stuff, even if it is say 5 to 10% a bit more expensive. Now, then you look at France. France's economy is shit to begin with. They're a socialist country which has bad economy, and they are now suffering really bad from the stronger euro, because in the first place, people didn't have that much faith in their economy, you know. So you're seeing something rather paradoxical. From the one perspective, I think that the Germans will benefit quite a bit. Uh, German, the Germans will benefit, in my opinion, quite a bit from the euro exchange rate at 1 to 1.4, because that means there is a lot of confidence in them. And Germany, the factory of Europe, it is not only the factory of Europe, it is the backbone of Europe. It is the country that keeps the euro together. Without Germany, there can be no euro. You know, when you see the currency remain strong, this is ultimately good for the country. It is ultimately even good for their exports, and that is something that they try to explain to people. And you know, everybody, I used to get a lot of hate when I said Germany needs a stronger euro for its exports to go up, and I was getting a lot of hate about that, because you know, in terms of maybe standard economics, you know, just your normal economic approach into macroeconomics, you know, in situation where everything is a matter of mutual benefit, you know, in Adam Smith's theory, you know, that each economic transaction should be taken of mutual benefit and, you know, should be of the same utility. Yeah, okay, sure. In those economic terms, the classical economics, that is true. But when you when you think about it, economics are not this way. They're not 100% rational. There is stuff like confidence, there is stuff like fear that influence economies quite a lot. And you know, this trend of the euro is giving confidence back into Germany, and you can see that this trend in the euro is actually helping Germany increase its exports, not decrease its exports, which is very important. In the same way, the weaker yen has not particularly benefited just yet the exports of Japan. That is because people are afraid of the policy that the Bank of Japan is doing. And some people, I'm guessing, are you know, reducing the business they're doing with Japan, even with the weaker yen, because they're afraid Japan is going to blow up, you know. So I'm just saying, you know, confidence matters. These are not we are not machines, we are not algorithms, and we are not completely rational. I am I'm a big believer in behavioral economics and behavioral finance. I have been studying this for a very long time. I've probably read most of the major books on behavioral economics and behavioral finance, and I guess in a reason that is also partially why I have believed that a stronger euro would be positive for Germany and would actually help the euro also become more stable. Yep. There is, I don't know if you know him, Dan Irie. He has a very good book on behavioral economics called Predictably Irrational. It's a very easy read. It is a read made for everybody. It is not for people who understand economics. It's everybody can read this thing. And yes, the same goes exactly. All these things they need confirmation. All these things need confirmation. Without confirmation, you don't get anything in from candlesticks. Uh, and I know people who trade only on candlesticks. Actually, it can work. It can work very well. But if you guys have the money to take 100, 200 pip stops, I don't. So you know. No, Rafael, those were cancelled, unfortunately, but it seems like they might work out. And the Euro yen front trend, it's ambush long, like a motherfucker. Oh shit, seriously, I really cannot believe this thing. Honestly, guys, can you see what we are holding? We are holding the next traditional in the series, which is extremely weird, extremely weird, extremely weird. I don't know. I only have faith in this ambush. I don't have faith in anything else. So obviously, I'm not going to trade anything else. In the meanwhile, the pound continues to be a hole and continues to not want to fill us. I don't know, guys. This is getting a bit tiresome. Now, I have to admit, I am feeling a bit down because I feel like I have been right about everything and I haven't made a single buck out of it. And this is a really dreadful feeling for a trader. But you know, in the end of the day, there is always going to be the next setup. There is always going to be the next setup, and you know, this is how it is. This is the type of profession that I've chosen, and that's it. You know, I'm just gonna have to get to, you know, like step my game up. There is also the issue that, you know, we made huge profits last month, absolutely abnormal profits. My office was running at over 4,000 pips uh, profit last month. So, you know, like I guess that after such a big run, it is normal that we have a drawdown in a sense, and not only a drawdown, but you know, like slow down in the general activity. Also, there is something that, for example, Cover has been saying. Uh, it's something. Yeah, equity curves are actually just trends. Every time I go, I have a drawdown. Man, I just realized. I just every time I have a drawdown, I realize how it is the same as, you know, like just trading the Fibonacci's on, say, the euro yen or whatever, because to simply put, yeah, exactly. It is a fractal way in life. So right now, I'm not surprised at all because I have come to the agreement with myself that I cannot always be profitable. I cannot always make the best setups. I don't know, like there's probably something psychological in me that's making me be less aggressive, or I don't know how it is. So it's probably gonna take a while until we can get into a really good setup. Also, the thing with pending orders is waiting a bit on me because I am unable to hand out now market orders. But this is the agreement we came to. I'm only going to hand out market orders on something really, really, really important, which I'm not saying just yet. So if something like that happens, something that major, I'm going to give obviously market order regardless everything, but I am going to try to keep it only to pending orders. Plus I have to get used to this as well. um, all I have to say is, as I said, I had to be honest, I even had to be quite honest, I had even 2 months of abnormal profits, and as Dr. Z says, actually that is exactly it. You know, you get big moves, and if you were in those moves, you are gonna get chopped because you continue to play the trend. But you know, if during that time you actually didn't make money, you're probably gonna be in the counter trend by the end of that time, and you're actually during the chop going to be making money. You know, it is psychology, I guess. But of course, we need to remain focused. We need to remain focused. I am sure we are going to get at least a couple of great trades this month. I am sure of that. The pound continues to be unwilling to fill us, absolutely unwilling to get us in. The entry is not getting filled on the euro yen. On the euro dollar, we are within the next traditional. We're holding the 50% line to the pip. Wouldn't be all too surprising if we grind to new highs from here. I will be completely honest with you guys. Won't be surprising one tiny itchy bit, you know. So the biggest reason why I'm a bit swayed by taking the short over here, the 1.35 mark, the halfway back short, is simply because I do not see that clear of a wave structure. It could be a zigzag, it could not be a zigzag. It could be a large ABC, it could not be a large ABC. If I was seeing a clear three-wave correction, I will probably take it. I haven't seen that in ages, mate. The pound kiwi. I don't want to even discuss it, to be honest. Man, seriously. Again missed the entry. Again missed the entry by a couple of pips. This is, I have to admit, this is getting a bit tiresome for me. Getting entries missed like that. So guys, any questions actually? I know Alex is quite a bit more technical than I am. And he covers a lot more the micro series and so on. Yes, it was a valid entry, absolutely valid entry. I'm actually very happy that you are starting to get it, SK. Yes, this was a valid entry, and you were gonna get free now. However, I'm looking for a Kim setup, so I'm going to wait a bit. Guys, I'm trying to learn some patience for you guys, if that makes sense, because you can be sure that I would have been long the market on the euro yen and on the euro dollar by now, and I would have been free. But I want to learn, you know, to trade so I can give proper signals and stuff like that for you guys. Well, there's no need for me to rush. So we are getting a very decent bid on the euro yen. I am immediately going to draw micro measured move shorts to see if this gets some participation. I am really going to be extremely pissed if our entry was missed for 9 pips and we didn't get in this trend. Really going to get pissed. Really going to get pissed, guys. I mean, I have tough market right now, but it's only normal because Asia is in a holiday and a lot of news this week. So this is creating a lot of chop, creating a tough time to get entries. It should moderate next week, and we should have a nice riders. I'm noticing that the pound dollar is trying to grind into the short entry. Let's see. Getting participation again from the micro on the dollar yen. Guys, I have to be honest. I'm feeling extremely bullish on these yen crosses. I know Cover would completely disagree with me, and he thinks that we are topping, but I mean, guys, this is just very bullish. Very bullish. again, these verbal interventions, guys, they really aren't going to do they really aren't going to do much until we get something solid. Like, just saying that the yen move is too fast paced, it's not going to drop the yen like a rock. What's going to drop the yen like a rock is if BOJ says that they are going to shift their policy or something like that. Or if they say that they have reached their first objectives. Let's see, guys. Uh, the euro dollar is actually reacting from an extension short, I think. Very small one, nothing major. As you can see, for but even if you think about it, even ECB, like the wording wasn't extremely strong. Actually the only thing that I think that can actually get the euro crashing at this point is if they say they have dismantled the OMT program. Okay, the euro yen is grinding into its halfway back short. This looks awfully similar to this, guys. Awfully similar to last week. Similar bottoming formation. Similar rejection at the next of the series. Grind two highs. Picked up by extensions. Just saying, this looks awfully similar to Monday's price action. You can see that the dollar yen is getting a very decent bid. It will probably go for a break of shorts, in my opinion. In my opinion, of course, which doesn't say that much. I have to say I completely agree with Peter's arguments. So, guys, I'm going long the euro-dollar market against the recent low. Let me check. US session has not opened yet. No, actually, I'm going to wait a bit. I am going to wait a bit here because US session is going to open in a bit. Now, guys, Peter, Cover, we are not macro traders. I want to point one thing, guys, and I hope you listen to me when I say that. We have seen, guys, interventions from the BOJ over and over and over and over and over and over again, and they have all failed. Now, as the logical person that I am, I'm just thinking, why is this different? Why are we seeing, cover, as he just said, we're already up 2,000 pips. Why are we seeing this relentless rally that just doesn't want to give in? And my thing is, maybe we are not understanding, because we are not fundamentalists. And I'm guessing that even if we are fundamentalists, there are not that many who actually understand the implications of what the BOJ are doing. So the market is the smartest one in the room. It is not me, it is not you. It is the market that is the smartest one in the room. And I think that maybe we really are not getting the implications of what BOJ is doing. Because you don't get a relentless 2-month rally, which has given you 4,000 pips in the euro yen. Okay, 3,000. And, like 2,000 pips in the dollar yen out of nothing. That's not how the market works. I really that we are probably not understanding the fundamental implications of what BOJ is doing. Because you know the smart money is really pricing the shit in. And there, it is the smart money who are not letting this go. It is not the retailers. The retailers continue to go long the yen. They continue to short the yen crosses. Now I cannot say that we are not due for a correction, but guys, if this really is something extremely extremely major from a fundamental perspective, you know, like it might be a bit unrealistic to expect a correction just yet. Guys, give me a second, my phone. Алло. Да. Uh, okay, guys.
Нали, Букър, супер сложен.
Така ли?
Не е спутан. Има вариант, он е директно да ни прати на нас, който така му пише имейл, той да ни прати, ние ще му правим аккаунт, защото иначе нямаш колко работа.
Как така директно? През това, през Манибука.
Като прати на този човек толкова пари,
Ма през Манибука ли как? Окей, няма проблем. Okay, guys, sorry. Let's see if the Euro confirms upside. I gotta be honest, I'll be really pissed if we just didn't get filled for 9 pips. Yes, we are going to add a payment option with Money Booker because there's some people who apparently can't use PayPal for one reason or another, so we need different payment options. Money Booker is better for us as well, by the way, because Vietnam, not Nigeria. But Money Booker is better for us as well because actually PayPal charges shit lots of money. They charge around 6-7% of the money that you give us. Sounds like a classical Ponzi scheme cover. Let's see if we break the short. Yeah, Peter, we are a long way away from that. uh, Shorts are getting some respect right now on the Euro-yen. Guys, I am going to be on actually now. There's not much more to say. Um, I will be giving updates over the Z&S updates feed. We will be leaving a bit early today. We will see how it will how we make it with the evening briefing, guys. Because we have some all of us, are gonna be busy over the night. I will try to have it available one way or another. Maybe, before I leave the office, before the market closes, I am going to include the evening briefing. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do it. Normally, the morning briefing is out by 10 a.m. GMT, and the evening briefing is out by 12 a.m. GMT. By 10 a.m. GMT, I mean, sorry, 8 a.m. GMT. So we try to get the morning briefing up before London opens, and we try to get the evening briefing 1 hour after, around 1 to 2 hours after US closes. Okay, let's see. The euro dollar is sliding a bit, guys. Алло. Да. И чакай, бе, ние имаме 10 по принцип. Ми, окей, айде аз ще говоря. Ако мога да не оставам, че трябва, не знам, защото ние нали имаме 10%. За какво са ни тези карти, ако... Okay, guys, I'm going to conclude this webinar now because I have a lot of stuff to take care of in the meanwhile. So I will talk to you guys over Skype and so on. We will see what we are going to do with the evening briefing. Not 100% sure yet, but I will let you know, guys.